be an unholy cross between Christoph Waltz and Sebastian Ledoux.
I'm going to go ahead and blame this loss on whoever gave Kranza that haircut.
The gremlins are coming out. Welcome to A More Philly Union, the podcast where we swear to talk about the Philly Union, the whole Philly Union, and nothing but the Philly Union, with as few digressions as possible. I'm one of your hosts, Paul.
I'm Eric.
And I'm C. And third time's the charm.
Third, fourth. This has been.
That's right.
Nope. We soldier on.
Yeah, this is our. Yeah, let's just keep going.
We face not defeat. Go on.
So we had originally kind of waited for the Alianza game to happen. So we didn't record on Tuesday, and now it's Wednesday, and just the gremlins are coming out. So we'll do our best to get this up. We are still looking for a place to host this in normal podcast streams. For now, you can continue to watch us on YouTube. We hope to have get entered into the Apple and Google podcast streams in the next couple of weeks. So getting into the things, let's talk about. We got two games. First was the visit to Miami, and then continuing south to Alianza for the midweek stretch. So the Union lost in Miami, much to our chagrin and much against what all had predicted, 2-0. So what did you guys think of this game?
Yeah, it was. This is so weird. It's like the fourth time we got to this part. It was obviously disappointing. It was this mixed bag. I mean, we lost, but it didn't feel like a loss necessarily. I liked how we played. We just made some dumb mistakes. I felt like a lot of our passes wound up going directly to a Miami player more often than normal. But it didn't. The good side of things, it didn't look like we were out of ideas or out of. We were always trying. I felt like we were always just one goal away from getting right back into the game. We couldn't get that one goal.
There were a lot of shots on goal that just went wide or hit the woodwork, just not on frame. But they weren't without ideas or chances. So.
As I was watching it, I was really impressed. I thought that it was a back and forth game. And I agree that, it was a little frustrating in the final third for the Union, but it really seemed like an exciting, entertaining, like I said, back and forth. Both teams were out to attack. And, at the end of the day, Miami's two shots, I think, that they had on frame ended up being good. We can certainly dissect those games, but I really thought the Union did look dangerous. And just like the first game, though, it looks like they just didn't have their finishing boots on.
Yeah, I agree. I went into the game with kind of a feeling that, Miami's going to be able to punch holes in our defense. And, they did. Yeah,
Well, that second goal, it was beautiful too. Like I believe Taylor was the player from Miami, and I had it in my notes here, but I do remember thinking that was really pretty and not to be denied. It's due as a good goal. So
it was interesting. You just said you expected Miami to punch some holes in the Union defense, but I would actually point out that Joseph Martinez was quiet on the night. Elliott and Glesnes locked him down.
Yes, I agree. And then they did sub him out in the second half. I remember thinking like, good, not good in the sense of, but we were able to get him out of the game and he didn't produce anything. But that might have been a little bit of a Pyrrhic victory, right? Like we shut him down, but they get who got that second goal?
And let's be honest. I kind of disagree
Taylor,
because
that's right.
The goals that we gave up were outside the 18-yard box. It's not like they split defense and had amazing passes. These were long range shots, and that's one of the things that the Union is really good at, is giving the opposing teams, if they give them a shot, it's a low percentage shot. And both of those goals and all of the Miami shots were low percentage shots.
True. Yes. Yeah, that first goal too, that was off of what's his name, Jean. That I have it out in my notes here is a bullet of a shot, right? I think the ball just came out to him. He just went for it, and that thing just was a straight bullet. And Blake did get a fingertip onto it, didn't do much to deflect, obviously, but I mean, I guess credit due where credit's due. It was a nice goal. It was a nice goal. But yeah, Paul, you're right. All their shots came from outside the box, or the goals came from outside the box, I guess. But
yeah. So talking about that, let's take a we can start with the bad, and then we can maybe see if we can't pull some good out of it. But that first goal, there was a couple of breakdowns. Flock pushed into the middle from his normal left side to double team. I think it was Pizarro. And then Pizarro made the pass or got the ball out to the Union's left side, and he pancaked Flock. I mean, Flock, he got basically tackled, and Flock had to get up off the ground and chase the ball, and he was a step late getting to where Jean or whatever was taking that shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, it was a well-struck ball outside the 18-yard box. It had to be about 22, 24 yards out. One thing I did notice was Blake had just shifted to his left. So he had his momentum moving in one direction. The shot, as all good shooters are told to do, shoot to the other side. When they see the keeper make that move, shoot to where he just came from. And yeah, I mean, I kind of put a little bit on this on Blake. I mean, it's 22, 24 yards out. Blake should make that save. Yes, he did get a hand to it, but don't get me wrong. I could never have made that. I'm not saying that
Standard disclaimer, we can't do this.
I think that should be the disclaimer.
Yes. But I mean, as good a shot stopper as he is, on a lot of days, I don't think he would have made that shift to his left. And I think that's what that wrong-footed him.
Yeah. I think too. I'm just going through my notes here. I don't want to go off on tangents, but I've been noticing like the Union have not been getting the majority of possession either in the games. They seem to just hang back at that 40-something%.
I think we may have touched on that a little bit, but yeah, it was definitely seemed to do more with the time we have.
Yeah,
except in this game, maybe, but
yeah,
but I noticed it got chippy real early in the game, real early. Like I have it as the 21st minute. We already had a yellow for Flock.
Yep.
And then a bunch more down the line with Martinez getting his requisite. Just a few minutes later, but yeah, that's nothing to go by, really. Let's be honest. But yeah, so I don't know if it was
Quick
humidity, which it would have been for me, but or if it was simply if there was some previous, as they, again quoting Men in Blazers, if something was going on. But there were the yellow cards and warnings were flying for sure.
Was Martinez's card from a tackle, or was that mouthing off?
It was I had the note down here. So Martinez got a yellow card for bringing an extra ball into the field during a throw-in. That's why he got the extra or the yellow card.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. I didn't think it was because of dirty play or anything like that for Martinez.
It was the most un-Martinez yellow card I think he's ever gotten.
It was a straight toddler yellow right there.
Yeah, that's definitely like
so
part of me wonders if he actually meant to do that or not.
There's something felt a little bit deliberate, like just to kind of mess up the run of play. And I mean, who knows, but that's how it's kind of seemed to me.
Well, and this continues a pattern I think that we saw last year and I've often seen, is that our results away from home are just much more of a mixed bag than at home. So which is surprising because they're such a good team. I don't really understand. I mean, I know home field advantage and home pitch advantage, all that kind of thing, but really not sure what we can do to fix that. It'd be nice if we could.
I'm kind of limiting my comments right now to the first half. I had a note down here that, and this is a positive thing, at least for me, is like we still do a lot of passing, which is good, right? Because I had a note down here that we had a couple attempts. I guess I went up to the second half, but I remember we were just come down those wings. We can get into the Miami's back left corner, and we just kept sending these crosses, and it wasn't for lack of opportunities. We just couldn't get that final touch to get in the net.
But right after the goal, the Union did come downfield, and Ura and Gazdag had that tremendous combination work, and Ura threading that ball between the two retreating defenders, Gazdag ran onto it. And let's be honest, the Miami goalkeeper Calendar, he did it once again. We ran into a goalie who was doing a great job, and Calendar really, as they say, stood on his head to stop Gazdag's goal. And if we had gone into half 1-1, kind of wonder what would have happened in the second half. And I think that was a big save from Miami's keeper.
Was that? Oh no, it didn't, because I had in the extra time at the end of the first half that Ura doing that acrobatic shot on goal, but I guess that one went wide. At least that's what I have here in my notes.
Well, he also had the whole tackle where he went ass over T-Kettle, and that arguably should have been a penalty kick at that point too.
Well, speaking of good goalkeeping, I had a note here in the 7th minute. Carranza deflected that shot that went off his head. He defends. Actually, but it was our shot that went off his head, because we had gotten down to the mime end of the field and just took a deflection off his head. So
I'm gonna go ahead and blame this loss on whoever gave Carranza that haircut, because it was the wrong answer, and I think that person should pay. Quite frankly, digression. Yeah, we said we wouldn't digress. Here we are.
I mean, in all honesty, I think that would have been a great way to leave the game, but I can't help but talk about that second Miami goal. Like you said, that was just a thing of beauty. In watching it, I felt like he actually stole the pass. Like, I think that pass was actually going to his teammate who was further upfield from Taylor. And, he took it off of his chest and played it down. And then that volley to the far corner, that one was just amazing. I mean, yes, arguably Martinez shouldn't have let Taylor get past him. Maybe Glesnes could have stepped to him, but in reality, there was not enough time. And Taylor that was just a fantastic finish.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Just yes. That's
well,
fine.
It's not how I was kind of hoping we'd fare a little bit better than that.
I do wonder, if they play this game 10 times, how many times the Union win this one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially if we played this in July, once Gazdag and Ura and Carranza have reestablished their connections and their scoring. I know Jim mentioned it last week, I think, when he's talking about how it takes time for the offense to get back into a rhythm and really start scoring goals. And I think that's really what bit us this week. We just didn't have that rhythm.
Do you think it's a case of and it's always folly to plot a line off of 2 data points, but do you think we got spoiled by last week's game with that? We start off so strong, and
No, I mean, I think that the
home game.
I mean, I think like I think Christy said earlier, like the Union were generating attacks. They were getting the ball upfield, like you said, and it just, that final finish wasn't there. So it's a little disappointing that way.
Things that not to be disappointed about. I had around the 17th minute, there was that wonderful tackle with Kai Wagner, and I think it might have been with John. Like, he just, I have in my notes here, he gave him a Philly shove, and he just sent John flying. I feel like between the first game and this game, Kai's playing really aggressive, but like he's getting very physical. It's getting very physical, which it's always good to see the spirit. I just want to make sure he doesn't
He's giving me Mark Wahlberg light.
Yeah, I can see
So
that.
and both in play and somehow in his look this season. So
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah.
I know he's sporting a bit of a mustache, and to use
Yeah.
the plot mechanism. It's not like when the person shows up wearing the mustache, that's actually the evil twin. So I don't know if it's
Yeah, on a soap opera.
Kai's evil twin.
They swapped for the season.
They
Kai's
usually like reverse the person's name in that case. So that would be
yeah,
like
so it'd be
Eak.
Ayak or yeah, Ayak. It's Ayak Wagner. Yeah.
And you said you had another point.
I had a couple. Yeah, like I appreciate that Phil Neville was wearing his Union blue suit, so we got some support from the other team. Also, want to point out he would be an unholy cross between Christoph Waltz and Sebastian Letou. Just pointing that out. Yeah, these are the things I focus on apparently when I watch games. Yeah, so that's kind of my take on the first half.
I think that's on to better things.
Yeah,
that's right.
For after that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a short
Early
turnaround, like you said, to another physical game, this Alianza game, down in El Salvador.
And we're going to rely on Paul to fill us in since we were not able to.
Yeah,
Right.
so I mean, it was a good game. I had just listened to Jim's press conference earlier today, and the first 2 minutes of his 7-minute press conference, or first third essentially of his press conference, was all about the field. And reading some of the articles about it, apparently they had a concert at the field back in December that tore it up real good, and the groundskeepers have been doing what they can, but they have plans to resod it. So the field is in rough shape, and essentially it made passes on the ground almost impossible, and much less dribbling. So there was a lot of lofted balls, a lot of header play. Both teams struggled to connect a lot, but in typical CONCACAF fashion, there was a lot of dark arts displayed on the field. So guys getting into each other a bit out, when the referees weren't looking. There was plenty of embellishments on any contact. But the Union made 8 changes to their starting lineup, and Jim made mention of that in his press conference, and that's not something that Jim likes to do. But yeah, they had eight starters off out of their normal 11.
So this was or was this kind of what you were alluding at last week, Paul, that they're going to start basically a B team and try to kind of cut the margins a little tight in the hopes to give our starters more resting time. I don't know.
Yeah, I think to an extent it is. Jim definitely look to rest his the starters. He made multiple mentions at the press conference, though, that it wasn't as so much a statement about.
Yeah,
so yeah, the 8 starters. We had 8 new players, or he rotated 8 players off the starting lineup from Sunday to this game with Alianza. And yeah, I think some of it was about him trying to get some rest in for the starters and maybe play a little bit of a B squad. But he made multiple mentions in his press conference that in training, all of the team is playing at a really high rate. So he kind of made it feel like there's a real chance that some of these guys may get starting positions before the end of the year. Like some of these starting spots are not locked down.
I agree. And like I was following, I mean, I think I was able to see the first 9 minutes, and then I was just following the game updates on my phone. And starting with all these, saying, second string or B team is kind of is not fair, because I mean, credit them. I mean, they held Alianza to 0-0. I know they brought in guys start subbing in, this quote unquote the starter starts subbing in the second half, but yeah, I mean, these young guys are out there keeping Alianza at home scoreless. So that's like, yeah, I agree. I mean, these guys are gonna it wasn't like, oh, we're starting our non-starters to give our starters a rest. It's like, no, our non-starters can still go toe to toe, I think, with a lot of teams out there.
Well, and it's a chance to give our quote unquote poorly named B team
we got
playing time.
We got to figure out a name.
Well, but that they don't get, in actual season play because there's a little. I'm going to say there's more at stake. I'm not trying to discount the CONCACAF tournament, but I would assume that they're a little more invested in winning the league than winning this, at least in early days of it. So
yeah, this is the round of 16, so there's still 4 more rounds to go. Right. And this was the first half. This away leg happened on Tuesday. The home leg starts next Tuesday. A couple of points about this game. It was definitely a rough pitch, so a lot of balls in the air, a lot of headers, but it was also very CONCACAF. A lot of physicality in this game, a lot of playing for the referee to make calls. And there was actually the dog that came running out in the field in the second half during a restart. This dog comes sprinting across the field, attacks the ball. One of the security guards just laughs and comes running out on the field, picks the dog up. Seemed very well behaved dog, and took it off the field. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. As Stu Holden said, who had that on their CONCACAF bingo card?
Yeah.
Yeah, I with all of the security efforts in place around the Subaru Park, it's like I don't understand how anybody could get their dog into a arena anywhere in the world, but I credit to them for doing it. Not sure how that happened.
Yeah.
So the 3 starters that did continue from Sunday were Blake in goal, which isn't a big surprise, but then he kept on, Wagner and Elliott on defense. And I got to say, Elliott really looked good out there. Like he continues to do a really good job organizing that defense. He played alongside Damian Lowe, and then on the other out wide on Lowe's side was Nathan Harriel, and they just played a solid defensive game. When it got chippy and players were getting in each other's face, they didn't back down.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was Martinez's effects just kind of wearing off, but like Bueno clearly was playing that sort of a game, and when they realized that was how it was going to go, it reminded me of Curtin's call. What was that quote last week or week before, Christy, about if you want to be in a street fight, we can do that.
Yeah, if you want a street fight, we can have a street fight. If you want to play soccer, we can do that too.
Yep, that's what it felt like. But I would say on the whole, I thought the Union looked the better side.
I mean, as results go, I was happy with that result because I know when we were making our predictions last week for how this game might go, I think, Christy, you and I both called it 1-1. And I was happy that we came out there with the draw because, right, we're going to be facing them. And I guess we'll talk about the games coming up. But, now we'll have them in, in our house.
As it were. Yeah.
So then expectations will definitely go up more.
Yeah. Now, I'm a little unclear exactly how the rules will work with regards to away goals, but from what I have read, it seems like so long as the Union win next week, they'll advance. If it ends up tied next week, I think they may lose because of the away goals. Yeah. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
About that. Like it's 0-0 tie, it'll go to PKs, but if it's 1-1, I think Alianza might win on away goals.
Okay. We'll a little bit of homework. We'll research that to see if they're doing the away goal bonus, so to speak.
Yeah. All right. Predictions. We didn't do so well against the Miami, although Eric, you did predict that Miami would score 2 goals, so there's something. Everybody, all 3 of us predicted they would score at least 1, but unfortunately, not the way we thought it would. And then you both predicted ties against Alianza, and you were right. So that's great going into second next round.
Yeah, it's not the best result, but it's definitely not the worst.
Yeah. So a couple of moving into the second act of the podcast here. one of the things I thought was interesting in his press conference, Jim Curtin actually mentioned some Union fans making the trip down to see them play against Alianza.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That is awesome. So it was kind of interesting to hear that. I maybe there's some El Salvador, people in El Salvador that are Union fans. I'm not sure, but the fact that they might have made that trip was awesome.
I think it's nice that Union fans are popping up where, I mean, I can only really speak for myself, where you don't necessarily expect to see Union fans, right? Like depending where the game is, but like, Christy and I were in Vermont this summer, and we're in the middle of like, we're at a coffee place or something like that, and we saw these two people like wearing Union swag, and it's kind of like had to do the double take, and then as you kind of like walk past each other, like, hey, yeah, Union, right? Like, oh yeah, and the next thing we're shooting a breeze for like
new friends.
But they were, I think were they from PA?
They were.
Okay. But yeah, it's always cool to see the blue and gold in other locales.
Yeah, it's niche enough that it's still a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is neat. I haven't experienced that, but it just kind of walking around Philly, just seeing some of the Philly swag show up. I know, Christy, you mentioned the stuff that Jim wears. Being I think it was a local group that organizes them.
Apparently tries to wear local designs by local artists, Union designs by local artists, as well as, I'm sure, things that have come down from more traditional MLS suppliers. But he's apparently gotten in a little bit of trouble for it. But he wants to represent the local designers and put their efforts out there.
How do you get in trouble for it?
Because I don't think it's technically sanctioned like MLS.
Oh, gotcha.
Gear, so just a tongue lashing maybe for it. So but yes, apparently that he does try to do that as often as possible. I did notice he was sporting the light yellow look that coordinates with the third kit. I believe in both of these games. So
I think it had this simplified stake logo on it instead of the full Union crest,
right?
Which I kind of like. I like that they're branching out and they're still holding to the theme of the design around the Union stuff, but they're kind of playing with it a bit.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to see.
In this game, they did wear their dark blues. Yeah, so they against Alianza, they wore their dark blues because I guess Alianza's colors were, I think they were the dark blues. They definitely did, they weren't wearing that new the Simpsons jersey for this game.
No, both teams they played were wearing their lighter colors. So perhaps it's a bit of a disadvantage actually for the away team to have to wear their dark kit in Miami and San Salvador. Maybe not. But it's a thought.
So outside of the Union fans traveling and the state of the Alianza pitch, I didn't really see a whole lot of news articles to bring up. Obviously with the loss in Miami, some of the people that were super high on the Union are wondering, is this mean something? That I certainly don't think it's ready to get out pitchforks or anything like that. It was just a bump in the road. I think that we're going to lose occasional games.
Yeah.
But I still think the Union played well.
Was it last year where we had the whole Richmond AFC issue where we just tied? It felt like we were tying.
Early in the season we were definitely at home. I don't remember about on the road, but definitely at home it was tie. Yeah, so it was like season 2 of Ted Lasso. Yeah, we had that super long stretch. I felt like everything was a draw. So at least so far it's like it's a win and it's a loss. So point wise it's better, right, that you win lose as opposed to just drawing everything. So that's true. I'm
looking for the silver lining. So
it's all right.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
well, I mean, we
Ted Lasso and cover. I don't want to. Well, if I may tangent slightly, ever so slightly away from the Union, but still related.
This is the first for the podcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. I did complain last week about the spoilers on Apple's coverage. If you try to rewatch the game,
Yes.
that it has the score front and center. Found out there's a setting to turn that off, actually. So if you go to our Twitter feed at a more Philly U, I did repost the piece there that explains how to do it. It's fairly simple. Just go to notifications and essentially says hide spoilers for sports. But if you want a full accounting, which should probably be a little more accurate than what I'm saying to you right now, just go to our Twitter feed, a more Philly U. So that Excellent. I was really happy to see.
Yeah, I was glad to find that as well. It didn't stop me from spoiling the result before I found it, but I was able to eventually turn that off, and it's off for the season now, so that'll be good. So
one other little Apple tidbit, I did report that Bradley Wright Phillips came around and started supporting the Union last week. Well, apparently he's been supporting pretty much every team that does well. Now he's on to Seattle. And they told him, they said that Seattle was his team of the year of the week.
That's right.
Because apparently he's been switching quite a bit. So hopefully we can win him back. But I don't know how much his support is worth at this point.
Gotcha.
So. That's good. Team of the year.
Team of the year of the week. That's good. All right. So upcoming games. Philly, we've got Chicago coming to Philly on Saturday. And then Alianza coming back next Tuesday to round out the round of 16 of the CONCACAF Champions League.
That's right. It is next Tuesday.
Tight. That's a tight schedule.
That's what, March 14th, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, March 14th.
High day.
High day. So, yeah, I mean, you guys have any thoughts about Chicago?
Well, I guess what, Chicago has only played one game so far. I looked on
That's accurate.
And I guess they won that game. I
thought they tied it.
Or maybe they drew. I don't remember. Well, I mean, they weren't too. Last year was pretty rough on Chicago. I don't know what they did in the offseason to kind of tweak their lineup. Christy's smiling at me. I think she has an opinion. Do you have an opinion?
I don't have an opinion. I'm sticking with 2-1 until it happens, and then I'll change it. So I'm going 2-1. Us. Clearly,
just cutting right to the chase.
Sorry, I'm just going for it. I don't have anything more intelligent than that to say.
So Paul, Paul's going to make note of the prediction. So you're saying 2-1.
I'm saying 2-1.
I'm going to say Union's got to bounce back after a little bit of a mild humility tour to the lower latitudes. So I'm going to say Union's going to win, especially at home. I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0. I feel like we're going to really lock down our defense. You know, I'm going to say we're going to probably pressure a little bit more. We're not going to give them many opportunities to get shots off. 2-0. Part of me wants to say 3-0, but I don't want to get too greedy. All right. What do you got, Paul? What do you got?
So I'm going 2-0 as well. Chicago, I'm just trying to find out what they did this past week. They tied New York City FC 1-1 at Soldier Field.
Okay.
I think that that they're still finding themselves, and I honestly think that the Union are going to start some of their I think they're going to hold some of their starting lineup for the Alianza game.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see either Carranza or Ora on the bench. I would expect to see Bedoya may play in this game, but maybe Flock might sit. And Lowe may have a chance to start in an MLS game this weekend. So I think that there's going to be a couple of shifts from the Miami starting lineup to kind of save some legs against Alianza.
Yeah.
So it's talking Alianza. Predictions for that game? What do you guys think? You didn't get a chance to see it, but now they're going to be playing on that nice smooth field down at Subaru Park. I think that the referee will be a different environment. I don't know that they're going to get away with as much CONCACAFing as they did, as much popping. So I think it's going to be a much more attacking game. I think they're going to get at each other. I think the Union are going to win this one. Like I said, if they start, the starting lineup that they put out against Columbus, I could see this being a 3-0 win.
Ooh,
bold.
That is a bold one. Do you have picks for who's going to score?
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
So it depends on who they start, but I like Carranza to get at least one. I really hope Ura can get a goal at some point in these next two games. I think it's important for him to get going to start the season. I would expect Gazdag to get the third. So not a huge branch to climb out on, saying that the front three are going to score the 3 goals against Alianza, but that's who I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go see, or do you want to?
Yeah, I think we're gonna win that. I think we're gonna go ahead and win that. I'm gonna go 2-0 on that. Put me in the books.
Right,
I'm gonna go with a little bit more of a little prediction score, yes, but drama as well.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna say at some point it's gonna be 1-1. And
Okay.
and then if that away goal rule kicks in, then we know we're even though it's a draw at that time, we still have to win. So I'm gonna say we're gonna have a late game winner, and we say 2-1.
So this is going to be I didn't hear no bell.
I hear no bell. Or what's
Yeah.
the other one? If it bleeds, you can kill it, right? Yeah, I was saying that one during the MLS Cup last. Okay, moving along. So I'm going to say 2-1, 2-1, and I like to think it's going to be a draw, and then it's going to get real ugly, and that's when we shine. Maybe 3-1,
like
maybe
Phoenix.
3-1. But I'm going to say 2-1. I'm going to dial it back a little bit.
All right, you're still giving the attacking legs to get some time to get rolling. I got you.
I think they're gonna get that goal, maybe because we're gonna play Chicago on Saturday, and then whatever 3 days later we're going up against Alianza, which we'll definitely be playing to win that one. So I don't know. This is all guessing anyway, but but I'm hoping for some drama, like that 1-1, and then we get that second goal, and then
I hope we just put it away and it's a big celebration and we get to the round of 8. So, but
yeah,
I hope that there's a good amount of fan support too, because it's a bit of a tough night and it's a bit of an off game. It's not a regular season game. It's a Tuesday in March, so it's I wouldn't. I mean, I know support is up, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little low. But I hope that enough people can get out to support, and I think that will help a lot. It seems to help a lot. So,
all right. So that kind of wraps up this week's episode. We got a couple of good games to look forward to next week. Thanks to anybody who's listening, and if you are, feel free to send us a message, either post a comment on YouTube. You can shoot us an email at morephillyunion@gmail.com, or you can catch us on the socials. See what are our Twitter, our Facebook, and our Instagram.
Do we have Facebook?
We don't have Facebook. We are Instagram and Twitter. On Instagram, we are a More Philly Union. And at Twitter, a More Philly EU, just the letter U. On
Twitter, so we're putting out not just Philly Union stuff, but also helpful tidbits on like Apple TV
TV troubleshooting.
So we're a Philly Union podcast.
Look, I was excited about it. I wanted to share.
And Apple tech support.
Yeah.
It was important. It was very frustrating to get in there and to see the scores. It's like, that's part of why I want to watch the game, to be surprised and enjoy it.
So I ended my Twitter campaign against Apple TV, which was 2 tweets strong at that point, but we're getting there. And I'd also like to say a thank you to my phone and its hotspot right now for getting us through this podcast, which we should probably end before it hears me on the sides.
We're flying.
So let's
at this point.
So then what we the next hope we can get is get a mention from Union Hulk on Twitter. Maybe we can tag him on one of our posts. So Thank you all for listening to More Philly Union. We'll be back next week with a More Philly Union. I'm Paul.
I'm Eric.
And I'm C.
Have a good week. Go Union.